first thing you want to do is disconnect the battery. Always a good idea when you're going to be doing any work on the engine. Make sure that it's tucked well out of the way so that it can't reconnect at any point in time. Get any sparks. That's that. Then before you jack the car up, you want to just loosen the wheel nuts, just take the pressure out of them, go around the rest of them, and then jack it up. An axle stand. I'll put the axle stand just onto the bottom of there, the mounting point. Whether that's right or not, we shall soon see. But I will also leave the trolley jack in as a belt and braces approach. I think that's hopefully enough height. Once you're all jacked up, it's then just a case of removing the remainder of the wheel nuts. Turn them off the last bit. Next thing you want to do is remove these little fellas. £10mm. Two 10mm. And there's a little clip just in at the back of there, which you can see just there. I didn't bring my trim removal tool, but a little slotted screwdriver. Pull the middle bit out towards yourself, and then pull the whole thing out, and then that's that bit off. Winner. Once the trim is disconnected, pull that away, set to one side, and start to see bits and pieces. Just have a look to see if there's any oil where it shouldn't be. It didn't look too bad. There's a little bit going on in there, but I'll have a look at what that is. Can't believe how little rust there is on anything. Amazing. So now I want to remove the auxiliary belts. That's just tensioner here to 12mm. That'll pop. I'll go off the camera to do it, can't do it. Once you've got the pressure off that tensioner, they should be pushed back enough to give you enough room to get these belts off. See if I can do it one-handed. take these nuts out here. The longer one is in that one, shorter one in that one, 14mm behind there, and a 12mm in there.
That's hard. Not much compression. I don't know whether that makes much difference really. It's just the weight of the flour wheel and everything. I think it's better to have this at the right angle. That feels quite good there. Is that on?
How's it look, crank?
I don't want to be within range of that then. No, that's not even trying.
It's hard to try, isn't it? It did the first bit, and then it's kind of...
Is your battery flat?
I wonder if it's not got a lot of juice in it.
It sounds like your battery.
So then you need to take it off pulley off there, which is held on with this fella, which is an absolute pain to get off. 22mm. We ended up making a tool. It's very handy. Having a dad with engineering skills to design and make that, which then just locked onto there, which held the engine from turning over, so that we could get a big bar on it, because otherwise the engine just spins and you can't get any pressure on the pulley. Tried doing the bump stop mechanism technique, whatever it's called. Tried long bars, tried impact guns, tried the whole 9 yards, but nothing would bring it off. And then there's an engine mount that bolts into here that's taken off, which means you now got a timing belt, which actually doesn't look too bad. So the engine mount bit is what bolts onto here, just top bit here. You can see where I'm pointing, which comes up here, which is what supports this. It's bolted in from the side. It's no case of removing this timing cover, belt off, water pump off, pulley off. We'll see how we get on. So, by way of an update as to how we're getting on here, this has been an absolute pig. My recommendation at this point in time would be that if you're thinking about doing the cam belt yourself, don't, unless you're just doing the belt and not the pump. But even then, my recommendation would be a very, very firm, don't do it. It's not easy. Maybe it's just my particular Alphard that's difficult, but every bolt has been an absolute nightmare, has been torqued up to what feels like 15,000 Newton meters, using breaker bars on nearly everything. The studs that hold the water pump on, these little fellas have got these stupid inventions of female torques, e-torques I think they're called, on the end, which just is not enough when you're looking at something like a tiny little end like that. Just try and get it off. We've battled, wondered if we could get the trim out the way, which we've taken the front pulley off. That kind of made me cam pulley locking tool. It's obviously more emphasis on making it look really nice than making it strong. Oh no, the other way around maybe. So that tool was to lock that, because obviously the bolt that was holding it was tightened up to the moon and back. But eventually got that off, which has given this a bit more movement, and we're able to get it out. I buy a set of these stud pullers, which basically are really quite clever. They I'll get it the right way around. Trying to film it. Basically, you slide the puller, pulley, it's not even the right word. You put the puller over the top of the spindle, and whack a socket on there, and it has inside it you've got little rollers. I'm not sure if you can see that as you tighten this and turn it, it tightens onto the spindle, and that got them out pretty well actually, to be fair, and we've been fighting on with them for a while. So those got out. My recommendation would be don't whack the female Torx thing on there, because it's just no point. To get the engine mount out, in order to get at them nearer, we just lifted the engine up slightly, just canted the engine slightly, so that it would go over here. Removed this pipe mounting point so you could get the engine mount up there, because there's an aluminium engine mount there. So that was removed. So yeah, that's the water pump and cam belt off. I've cleaned the surfaces, got some gaskets to go in and a new water pump to go on, and then it's a case of putting the belt on, which is all marked up. Marked the pulleys and the belt. So we've got, if I can find where the other pulley's gone. Remember, that was that aluminium engine mount I was saying about before, which just lifted the engine up so it would slide up off the side of the engine. There you go. So we've done some marks on there which correspond to 2 white marks on the cam belt. Make sure that you mark the corresponding, either the dip or the grip, as it were, probably a tooth on the belt, whatever it might be, or the valley on the belt. Make sure you're clear on that, and then mark everything all around, line them all up, and then set the tensioner. So we'll see how we get on with that next stage. But this was just to give you an update. This has been a massive pain, and not been beaten by it, but I wouldn't recommend it. Can't think how many days in we are now, probably 4th day, although it's been fitting it around all the bits and pieces in limited time, as it is school holidays after all. So yeah, we shall see how we continue. Hopefully all going back together now, which means no more battling with stupidly tight bolts. Here's hoping.